I met this guy down at Agenda, and he thought I was a little strange. Then somebody told him, yes, he is a little strange, but it's okay. And if he says, maybe you should come and see him. Well, he didn't come. He promised he was going to fly up in his plane, and he was going to come and see me. He didn't do that. But he sent several of his guys, and he showed me some terrific, amazing things. Then I convinced Vince that we could use his stuff for, instead of their own camera crew, for doing the Hummer thing. And I don't know how many people, a bunch of you have seen the Hummer stuff downstairs, but I told him he couldn't sell anything. He's prone to sell. He's a CEO and he sells things. He doesn't know anything about us, kind of thing. So try not to sell anything, because I think your product sells itself. And this new 360-degree video thing that you can joystick around, it's just quite, I think it's going to have an effect on how we do some kind of films and experiences. I just thought it was really terrific. Anyway, whose phone? Okay. It's so easy to turn them off. Anyway, Jim Phillips, nice for you to be here.
Good to be here, Richard. Richard, thanks for having us. You know, CEOs get paid for selling stuff, so I mean, it's just part of the job. But I want to tell you a little story about our company. You know it as iPix, and if you've had a chance to go down and see us down below, I think, I hope anyway, that you're pretty impressed with the stuff we're showing you. But one of the things that impresses me the most about this company is really its history, its genesis, which is kind of exciting. Before we were iPix, we were Telerobotics. And we're a little company in a little place called Oak Ridge, Tennessee. For those of you who are in the nuclear side of the world, you probably know that Oak Ridge is where Oak Ridge National Laboratories is. And we had a couple of top mechanical engineers leave the telerobotics section where they were working on robots to create their own company down in Oak Ridge. And this was back in the mid-'80s. And when they did this, they wanted to build the perfect robot. And they started working on, among other things, a wrist, which is what you're seeing right there. That's part of a patented wrist element that they're working on. And they kept doing this, and finally they're beginning to figure out this is, number one, really, really hard, and number two, there's a lot of other people building robots out there right now, and they weren't sure this was going to take them where they wanted. And then along came a guy out of the laboratory. These guys were mechanical engineers, and another guy came out. His name was Steve Zimmerman. We refer to him finally as Z-Man. And Z-Man came out, an electrical engineer. He's from a little place in Tennessee also called Hole in the Wall, Tennessee. And he also is a guy that made straight A's, never a grade below an A at the University of Tennessee, graduated first in his class and went on to work at Oak Ridge. And he said, guys, if you want to build a perfect robot, build a robot that can see, because nobody's doing that. And he says, I've been working on this, and so they hired him, and he worked on it some more. And what he figured out is if you take just basic fisheye lenses, like the one I'm holding right here, and when you look through a fisheye, by the way, when I look right here, I'm seeing, in this case, of course, everything. I'm seeing 180 degrees, a whole hemisphere. You grab a hemisphere at a time, but it's all very, very curved. And it really doesn't look very good through there. And if you were to take two of these, which is what he wanted to do, and put them back to back like this on a robot, then obviously you'd be seeing 360 degrees by 360, which is exactly the way we see the world. And so they set out to do that, and of course you got to pay for things. So the first thing they did is they talked to NASA, and NASA said, this is great. This is, if you can do this, let me tell you, we need to simultaneously be seen up on the shuttle very, very soon. This was back in the mid-'80s. We can't have any friction. We have to have a frictionless camera, and a camera that can look in any direction and can be guided independently and simultaneously by Cape Canaveral as well as Houston. And so they went to work on it. And you know what? They figured it out. They figured out a way to do that. And they did that simply by de-warping and perspectively correcting in real time, which was bigger than maybe that sounds, those images, so that when you got on a computer, you moved your mouse, you could look in any direction through a linear window everywhere, just as if you were seeing from that space. And so that was pretty big, and they did some projects for the NASA, and they also did a project for the Department of Energy. They had a robot, and they had a very significant situation where they had to go into hostile conditions, move the robots in, frictionless, and usually in nuclear situations, and capture things or turn valves off and things like that. And that's how they made their living. And of course, robots to this date have not turned out to be really the greatest way to make a living. And along came a thing called the internet. And they found out that what they had really invented was not a way really to see up into space on the shuttle, they had found a way to see across the internet, and they had found a way to reproduce human viewing across the internet. And suddenly these pictures that they were getting were perhaps going to be a little more valuable in a lot of respects. And they weren't thinking in terms of business. Today, we're the world leader in hotels. When you look at a hotel across the internet, when you want to buy a house, you know, we have gone from just a couple images to where we're doing hundreds of thousands of images every month. And it's a great business proposition. But they were thinking like good scientists do about the good possibilities of this. And they said, you know, geez, if with this internet, we may be able to let a kid in China step into the Grand Canyon and look around if he just has an internet connection, or a girl in maybe Arizona that'll never get to China step onto the Great Wall of China over the internet instantaneously and look all around. And so this is what it became. It kind of left the robot and it became this. And I hope you get a chance, we're downstairs, to see these images. If we could get the lights down up here a little bit, it'd probably help just a tad. So here we are. That's a great picture. You know, if you just took a, you know, instamatic shot of the Grand Canyon, that's a great shot. But when we take a picture, it looks like this. You see everything. You can move around. For instance, you might have missed the fact that this is, of course, the mule train. And you might have missed, for instance, just how thin that is if you guys were contemplating going down there, and just what the fall looks like, you know, into that. And so you might have also missed, if it was just a conventional picture, that you're going through this little divide right here, and how high that is. And so now the kid in China with an internet connection, God help them, they should have them, will soon be able to take these kind of trips. Now, let's go to China for a second, because the kid in Arizona can now go to China. This is the Great Wall of China, just a quick snapshot. Takes seconds to produce these, can be up on the internet literally in seconds. And once on the internet, we're talking about a 75K file, Java, no plugin needed, free. And now you get a chance to really explore all of those kind of things. Now, as I mentioned, it's being used for a lot of things, houses especially, in places like this, sites like this. But we want to advance the technology very quickly. The proudest thing I found this year was a company called Time Warner, who owns a company called Roadrunner. Every time they open up a new cable modem city, they launch by going into the museums and the areas of interest. And this was really special for us, is when they did the George Eastman house, of course, they chose our photography. So when you go into George Eastman's house, let's just look at the conservatory for a second, over the net. A great, you know, shot, but this is a better shot. I mean, you see everything. You are now in George Eastman's conservatory, one of the fathers, obviously, of photography. And you can explore all around, and this is really a neat trip. It's the same thing in a lot of museums, and every house should have at least one elephant. And George has certainly got one here, and of course you can zoom in on that, which is nice. But as things change, people want more. And so, you know, now on these house tours, we've come a long way in collaboration with a company called IBM. When you go looking for houses in the future on the net, and by the way, in 2 years it's gone from 1% of the population looking through the internet to 70% in just 2 years. And that's where they start their buying process. You know, you can, again, a Java file here, small. You can look around, see what kind of neighborhood this is, check the maturity of the trees. But then beyond that, you know, you notice as I move around, you see these little red squares come up. Just click on them, and when you do, perhaps you want to repaint that house. You know, and so it gives you a template inside that iPix where, you know, whatever color you want, you can do that. Go inside, and the same thing happens. You can imagine all the applications for this. We can look all around this kitchen, top to bottom, see it just as if you were standing there. So you've really teleported yourself over the internet. And then as you do this, perhaps, you know, you want to check out this right here. So let's just go from a wood top to perhaps a, you know, marble top or a granite top, and just keep doing that until you find it exactly the way you like it. So, and it works all through this. And you can imagine on the e-commerce side and business, as we move into this and other things, we can pick up products. And let's change this to blue right here. I kind of like the blue houses for some reason. But you get a feel for just how easy it is live on the internet to do these type of things. So it's amazing what has come out of robots. This is perhaps one of my favorite pictures. And Kosovo was a tough thing. I mean, a lot happened in Kosovo, as you guys know, but we really didn't get down there to see it. And so we're doing a lot more than selling houses and booking hotel rooms and cruise ship lines. It's being used by companies like the Washington Post and the New York Times. And this is a real look at what it looks like when you walk back to your house in Kosovo the day after. And you know, the day before, this was probably a nice house. And it's certainly not now. And so they tracked through with their photographers day after shots. And this is just one bomb site right here. And so we're very excited going forward about all the applications. We don't come up with the applications, our customers do. This just is up on the Duke site. You know, 100% of the high schoolers today are out surfing the net. That's the prospect for a university. So you might as well, you know, show them your campus. And this is the way they do it now. This is one of, you know, many, many schools that are beginning to now go this route. Let's just go inside the chapel for a second. So over the internet, comfort of home, mom and dad, you know, checks out the Duke Chapel. And not just sideways, but tops and bottoms, as if they're there. So they literally step inside across the net. And we think this really takes advantage of the net in a lot of ways. Soon it'll take advantage of it this way. For all you guys that were in here the other day, this is a really fun shot we took. And you saw the flat where we rolled it out. You can take an iPix, turn it into a square box, a package. We did it that way, but I like it better this way because you can zoom in on great-looking guys like this guy and take a look at him across the net. You can see everybody that was here seconds after this picture was taken. Kind of zoom in and zoom around, see what kind of facility we've got here in Monterey. And you might, for sure, you won't want to miss this guy and what he was doing. So now, what I want to do is take you very quickly and accelerate a little fast speed here. This is, we have now moved this into movies. And no different than Edison took the still shot and decided that he'd like to make pictures move. We've done the same thing. And we've gone from huge boxes to do this to lenses that are now this small right here. And so this is, you know, after about a year's worth of development. And so we're moving very, very quickly towards helmet cam so that when you're watching Monday Night Football, you click on your screen and just, you know, get a replay from the perspective of being the player, or a hockey game, or on top of NASCAR and so forth. There are going to be lots and lots of applications. And I'm going to take the limited time we have here right now to show you one of our partners is going to be going online with this. When we get into webcasting video, you know, a lot of people complain it's quality subtracted linear. And you have these interactive pipes and interactive devices. Why don't we make the video interactive? So let's do that. Where I am right now is I'm in an iPix. And again, if we can get the lights, I can drive it from here without any problem. So this is an iPix. You saw this. This is a 3-foot helicopter right here. I look straight up, look all around. So it's remote controlled. And we're flying Hawaii. And this is going to be on Discovery online very soon. This is a Discovery project. And so let's just go ahead and get started because we're taking 48 iPixels per second, 48 frames a second. This is done in film. And so here we are. And you can, again, move just like I moved in an iPix. So you could have 5 million people on the net looking in 5 million. 5 million people on the net soon looking in 5 million different directions. Let's come out of this area right here. And this is a sugarcane plantation. Over in Maui. You can zoom in, zoom out. This is actually a prototype shot. We've gotten a lot better. What you're seeing up there is about 1/8 of the resolution we're getting now. And here we are on Parker Ranch on the Big Island. Let's follow one of these horses. Any direction I want to go. And again, this could be live. And in a live context, again, since the camera never moves, it's all digital experience. You can see anywhere you want. Of course, we all know Pearl Harbor. This is the USS Arizona. And take a look straight down as we fly over. And perhaps if you missed it, you might want to just zoom back around and look at it from this direction. And see it as it goes by. And America is beautiful for that. It's a real experience. And that's what we're into, whether it's golf. Let's watch this guy swing. He did not hit the helicopter. And so we're still airborne here. And we're in Maui and I can't even pronounce it. But on the 9th hole here. And again, I'm just looking in any direction here that I want. So you can begin to think of the applications here as we move through this. Now there's a waterfall here. Let me find it. There it is. I didn't want to miss this. Again, I'm looking right, I'm looking left, whatever direction. And obviously in terms of film editing, things like, oh, let's just look down while we go over it. So in terms of film editing, we think that this is going to offer a tremendous tool put in the hands of directors of movies and how they edit and so forth. And we're very, very excited about it and very excited this is our first chance to premiere iPic's movies to you here. But it wouldn't be right for me as a CEO, as a business guy, to do this and not introduce somebody that's really better at this than me. And I have a young film director here that is the head of Atmosphere Pictures, and he's going to fly you through one other thing. He has just produced a little movie. This is Future for the Web of New York. Scott Coulter has produced documentaries for A&E, History Channel, Discovery, and Scott, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Jim. And thanks, Richard, for making a very wonderful environment here. What I have is an excerpt from a short experimental film, a documentary film that I made in New York over the holidays. We call it Sight See. As a filmmaker, you can imagine widening the frame to 360 degrees offers quite the challenge. It sees everything. But I think that the volume of space that you can play in is far outweighs the difficulties. If you have any questions after I play this short excerpt of this film, meet me downstairs at the iPix booth, and I'll be happy to discuss the ever-growing vocabulary and semantics of this crazy medium. And in fact, if someone can come up with a word for the act of running like hell to get out of the shot, I could always use that. Okay, let's see what we got here. And I'm going to put this in full screen mode, which didn't do for you last time. And again, you can turn the lights down up here.
Don't stand up.
You can turn the volume up.
Okay, the bus has stopped. This stretch of Fifth Avenue, many of the stores beautifully decorate themselves.
Again, have the ability to look anywhere you want. Today was Santa Claus Day. This is in front of Saks Fifth Avenue. Many of you know it well.
This is not the most expensive shopping in New York City. Madison Avenue is the most expensive shopping in the world.
Again, if you can turn up the volume a little bit.
Because it was a Jeopardy question. The World Trade Center was the target of a terrorist attack several years ago. The terrorists wanted to knock down the Bar Tower and make it fall into the Near Tower, knocking them both down. They wanted to kill every last one of them.
Potential with time-lapse photography, slow motion, it's all there. All the film techniques are there except in 360 degrees.
Around the Arch of Triumph, the chain-link fence. You can't go near the arch because it was very badly damaged. Not by vandalism, by acid rain. The gift of the people of New Jersey to the people of New York.
The devil.
The Brooklyn Bridge is probably the most beloved bridge in the entire world. Now, on the first floor of the Flatiron Building, there's strange air currents. And when the women tried to cross the street, those air currents raised the hem of their skirts just a little bit, and you could see their ankles.
Grand Central in all its glory. And we can begin to
if you keep looking right, you'll see the wonderful Christmas tree. And this is Rockefeller Center. That property that was made profitable by driving the city to bankruptcy.
Okay. Anyways. Thank you very much. And of course there's more of that as well as Hawaii and other films downstairs at the iPix booth, so check it out. I suppose I'll hand this back to Jim. Jim.
Up here, buddy. On the screen.
hey, New York looks pretty cool, but nothing like this. These Hummers, they go sideways, upside down, every direction, kind of like iPic's movies. Listen, we enjoyed giving you this presentation. Come see us down in our booth. We're out of here.
This is some of the Hummer stuff that happened the other day. I'm sure plenty of you went out on. Anyways, you can see more of this downstairs at the booth. I think that's probably it then.